Greetings, friends and foes. Chris here. I need to weigh in on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's what we're going to call it. Uh, I was inspired to do this by Charlie Kirk's video clip I saw. I'm including it in my details so you can watch him rant and I'd shout down a teenage boy who's asking questions with his support of Israel and how he met God in Israel, and he couldn't have met God in Israel. You could meet God outside of Israel, Charlie, I assure you. There's nowhere in the scriptures to say you have to go to Israel to meet God. And I think you were lying, Charlie. I don't trust you, and I think you were a shill supporting Israel, and you were tasked with doing that. I'd love to debate it with you, but I don't think you'll debate me because you're saying the Bible says this, and you're not using scriptures. You're just shouting down the young man who's asking the questions. Very pious and unprofessional of you. And you thought you were doing something really righteous there, and I know you were feeling all pious about it. It looked pretty fraudulent to me. Do the scriptures tell us we need to go to Israel to meet God? Is the kingdom of Israel? Where is it? Is it over there in the Middle East? Is that where it's at? Is that the kingdom of Israel? And who's the king of Israel? Is it Rothschild or is it Netanyahu? I'm challenging Charlie to a debate after seeing him shout down that teenager. I have a response, even if he is ranting and yelling. And I would love to debate this issue with him. Are the European Jews or the Euro Jews of Rothschild's Yahuwah's chosen people? First thing I need to emphasize is that Yeshua did not call us to hate. He didn't even, not even our enemies. We're supposed to love. Let me make it clear. I love the citizens of Rothschild's fake Israel. The deep state forces want me dead or in prison. Will try to construe my words as anti-Semitic or hate speech to indict me. Notice how aggressively people calling themselves Jews are protected by the media and even the laws. Why? Is it because our media and judicial system love Yahuwah and our Messiah so much? Of course not. Well, you know they don't. It seems to me that God of the media, government, and judicial system serve a very different God than the true Yahuwah of the true Israel. It's the polar opposite, and we know that. A very different God, so that should be considered very suspicious right off the bat that they're being so protected and we know who the God of this world is, why they're being so protected by this world. All you people who call themselves evangelicals who don't trust the mainstream media, you know they lie about everything, but you want to believe they're not lying about this. You want to trust them on this issue. You know that everything the mainstream media reports is the opposite of the truth. This bloodline thing is not an issue. What does it take to be a Jew? Are you 1% Jew, 50% Jew, 100%? How do you become God's chosen people? That'd be about half the planet after all the dispersion and the assimilating. Half the planet would qualify. I'm going to tell you when the bloodline genealogy tracing ended, and that's I'm going to use Matthew or Matthew 3 to establish that. And I'm starting from verse 13 right here. Then came Yahushua from Galilee unto Jordan unto Yehochanan to be baptized of him. And Yehochanan forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and thou comest to me? And Yahushua answered, saying unto him, Suffer it to be so, for thus it becomes us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. And Yeshua, when he was baptized, went straight up out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Ruach Elohim descending like a dove upon him and lighting upon him. And a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Yachid, in whom I am well pleased. That's where the genealogies ended. That's where the importance of the bloodline ended, right there when Yochanan baptized Yehoshua into the priesthood. I believe that's what was going on there. I believe Yehochanan was a high priest. He was baptizing and preaching repentance. It's good evidence that he was a priest. I believe he was baptizing Yeshua into the priesthood. That's what the genealogies were all about, identifying our Messiah. And he's been identified and he's been baptized into the priesthood. And he's our high king. He is the king of Israel. He is our high priest. From that moment forward, we no longer need to scrutinize the genealogies and worry about them. That's why they were scrutinizing the blood lineage. to establish messiahship or to establish kingship of Israel. This is where the bloodline tracking ended. And you never hear of any event of recording bloodlines after that. Now we have our Messiah and we have our high priest and king once and for all. Genealogies are no longer kept after this event. It seems Yehoshua was baptized into the priesthood by his cousin, Yehochanan or John, who was actually the high priest, and not Caiaphas, who was Roman appointed. See, we got two priestly lines operating at the same time. One is true, Messiah's priestly line, and one is Roman appointed. It's nothing new under the sun. Now we have a false Israel being handled by the Jesuits or Rome, and it's the same forces that crucified Messiah is ushering in the anti-Messiah. I got to ask you, Charlie, what did Paul say about genealogies in Timotheus Rishon 1:4 or 1 Timothy 1:4? I'll tell you what he said, Charlie, since you haven't read it. Neither give heed to fables or endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. So there you have it right there. We're commanded, we're instructed not to give heed to endless genealogies. That's not what we're instructed to do. We're instructed to confess, forsake, and repent. Yochanan 8:38. John 38, I speak that which I have seen with my father, and you do that which you have seen with your father. They answered unto him, Abraham is our father. Yehoshua said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. This is Yeshua debating with the Pharisaical Jews. But now you seek to kill me, a man who hath told you the truth, which I have heard from Elohim. This did not Abraham. Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even Elohim. Yeshua said unto them, if Elohim were your Father, ye would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh this lie, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Which of you convinces me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim heareth Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of Elohim. Do those Pharisaical Jews sound like Yahuwah's children? Does they sound like Yahuwah's chosen people? Yeshua just said they're not. Galatians 3:6-7. Even as Abraham believed Elohim, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore that ye which are in faith, the same are the children of Abraham. So what can we glean here? The people who have faith in Messiah are children of Abraham, and the people who don't, regardless of their Pharisaical status, are children of the devil. That's what the scriptures say. Still in Galatians 3, but I'm jumping down to verses 28 and 29. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female. Ye are all one in Yeshua HaMashiach. And if you belong to Mashiach, then ye are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So who's heirs according to the promises? Who's Abraham's seed? Those that are one in Yehoshua HaMashiach. 99% of this Rothschild's Israel denounces Christ. So why would you think that those are Yahuwah's chosen people? Where did you get that? You didn't get that from here. You should read this, Charlie Kirk. You should read this, evangelical pastors who are leading people astray into thinking Israel is that state, that Rothschild corporation called Israel, filled with Eastern European Jews who were who denounced Messiah to flee their pisshole countries. In other words, you carry no status at the foot of the cross. We're all groveling buckets of sin and need of salvation through Messiah and adoption into Israel. Romans 11:16 says, "For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. If the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some branches are broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and within partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear, for if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee. For Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim. Of them which fell, severity, but toward thee, goodness, if thou continues in his goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if thou were cut off the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that ye be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness is in part happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles comes in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away from ungodliness from Yaakov. This is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins." Okay, what is the mystery? I'm going to give you my best interpretation on these passages. What is the root? The root, Messiah comes from the root of Jesse, in accordance with the scriptural priestly bloodline. We who abide are grafted in branches. So Yehoshua is of the root of Jesse, and Yehoshua is the vine, and we are the branches. And Gentile branches are grafted in. Gentile means nations that were not Israel. That's all Gentiles means, is nations outside of Israel. Any advantage given to the Jew when this was written is that they were already keeping the feasts. Now they just understood why they were keeping the feast. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Passover, the Feast of First Fruits, Feast of Pentecost. They were all fulfilled while they were being kept. Keep that in mind. So why shouldn't we keep the feast? Why should we think it's going to be different for the Feast of Trumpets and Yom Kippur, the Feast of Atonement, or the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles? Why should we think it's going to be different then? We need to keep keeping the feasts. Nowhere that said we shouldn't. In fact, Paul said keep the feasts. That's the advantage the Jew has in becoming a believer, because their roots or their heritage are already keeping the feast religiously. Now they just understand the true meaning. That's the Jew's advantage in my estimation. I'm willing to listen to other theories on that. Romans 2, 28 and 29. For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart and the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Elohim. Did you hear that, Charlie Kirk? The Jew is one inwardly. We have a king of Israel. We have Yeshua HaMashiach as our king of Israel. The believers are Israel. The believers are the one who's the whole world's turning against. And it's not just for the Chinese anymore. Romans 15, 11 and 12. And again, hallelujah, Yahuwah, all ye Gentiles, and laud him, all ye people. And again, Yesha Yahu saith, there shall be a root of Jesse, Yisheh. And he shall rise to reign over the Gentiles. In him the Gentiles trust. In him shall the Gentiles trust. And we can clearly understand that the Gentiles are adopted into Messianic Judaism. The first century believers were all Messianic Jews, keeping the feasts. And his covenant is with the house of Israel and the tribe of Judah. Yeshua's new covenant was with the house of Israel, is with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In regards to the modern day Messianic Judaism, I'm disclaiming calling people rabbi. I don't believe in that. The scriptures instruct us not to do that. So why they're doing that, I don't know, but I don't approve of that, and I don't approve of having a star of Remphan present in a congregation or a synagogue. It is a evil hexagram, has nothing to do with David. And these rabbis should know that. They know where it came from, but they're just stubborn and think it identifies them as Jewish. It is the star of Remphan. It had nothing to do with David. It's used in every religion. It's an occult symbol used for conjuring a demon. And I don't think it should have anything to do with it. And I don't like the worshiping of the scrolls either at the beginning of the service. But all that being said, there's many, many born-again believers in the Messianic Jewish congregations. I know that for a fact. We become Israel by faith, regardless of bloodline. Although my DNA is allegedly 30-some% European Jew, I would be denied citizenship in Rothschild's Israel if I profess Messiah. That doesn't sound like Yahuwah's people to me. Rothschild's Israel is not over 99% deniers of Messiah, Yeshua. Over 99%. Palestine's 5% at least. Was Yeshua European? Miriam and Joseph went to Bethlehem for a census. They had 3 categories of ethnicities on the Roman census, and that was European, African, and Asian or Middle Eastern. They were considered Asian minded. So your options would have been European, African, or Asian. Miriam and Joseph did not travel from Europe to the census, and then they did not travel from Africa to the census. They traveled from Nazareth. We understand Yeshua is a Nazarene, and that he was able to hide out in Egypt. He must have been dark. Not that it matters, but if you're believing that the European Jews in Rothschild's Israel today look like the Jews when Messiah walked there, you haven't given that much study or much thought. They would more likely resemble Palestinians than they would European Jews and the Euro Jesus. Not that this matters, it's the blood of Messiah shed that gives us salvation, not a skin shade. But they're the ones making an issue of it by saying these are Yahuwah's chosen people, or saying these are God's chosen people. That's what they're saying. That's what Charlie Kirk is advocating. Bloodline is not the issue for being a true Israel in Yahuwah's eyes. Rothschilds delivered us a false Israel and fake Jews. And the reason why is because they're going to deliver you a fake Messiah right now. So if you swallowed the hook, line, and fake Israel and fake Jews, you're going to swallow the sinker of fake Messiah. That will be the sinker too. False Messiah is coming soon under a flag with a satanic hexagram on it. The alleged attack on Israel was an obvious false flag. The IDF either let it happen or actually did it themselves, or nothing happened and it was all theater. Remember 9/11? Our pretext for war and destabilizing the Middle East? Mossad created Hamas as their pretext for bombing any obstacle to the Rothschild Zionist aspirations. Rothschild Zionism isn't anything to do with Yahuwah's Zionism. It's a demonic counterfeit. They want to put a channel through Gaza. I'm not an Islam sympathist. I'm a humanitarian. Innocent people are being slaughtered, many of which are believers in Yeshua HaMashiach. The Rothschild deep state child trafficking pedophiles that control the corporation of fake Israel want to cut a canal through Gaza so they won't have to pay Egypt to use the Suez Canal for imports and exports anymore via that channel. They'll have their own channel. Plus, they can gain billions a year by charging their import and export fees on that channel. But innocent women and children were in the way and got bombed into oblivion for being in the way of Rothschild's corporation called Israel's aspirations of cutting a canal through Gaza. And they get a thrill themselves by murdering innocent women and children. That's always a thrill for the devil worshippers. So I got a question for Charlie Kirk. Was Yeshua lying here? And you were thumping the Bible or pretending that you could thump the Bible, you were saying that that you met God in Israel. I got a question for you. Was in Lucas 17, 20 and 21, Yeshua speaking here. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of Elohim should come, he answered unto them and said, the kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. What was that, Charlie? The kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. What does that mean, Charlie? That you couldn't go walk on it. So if you met God in Israel, you might not have met who you thought you met. Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of Elohim is within you. Do I need to reiterate this, Charlie? The kingdom of Elohim cometh not with observation. It's not here nor there. It is within you. I got a kicker for you here. Listen to what the angel wrote to the church of Smyrna, a synagogue that denies Yeshua. Any synagogue denying Yeshua as Messiah is a synagogue of Satan. I'm sorry. Any synagogue that denies Yeshua as the king of Israel and as the high priest of once and for all is a synagogue of Satan, not Yahuwah's chosen ones. You got that one wrong there, Charlie. Revelation 2. And unto the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not, but a synagogue of Satan. So we don't have a whole lot of synagogues around, and the synagogues we do have over here are in the nation that is, it's not a nation, it's Rothschild's corporation. It's like a hub for organ harvesting and child trafficking. Huge. Any synagogue denying Yeshua as Messiah and high priest is a synagogue of Satan. Have you read this? Have you read this, pastors? Have you read this, Charlie Kirk? You don't need to be a theologian or a Bible scholar to understand this. You just need to read the scriptures, and the scriptures without Schofield's demonic twist on what the scriptures are conveying. I got a little sidebar here for you. When the anti-Messiah or when a Messiah arrives calling himself Zeus Krishna or Jesus Christ, that will be a false Messiah. Yahushua HaMashiach is not going to return and say, I'm Jesus Christ, I'm Zeus Krishna. I suspect that their anti-Messiah is going to claim to be Jesus Christ, and he wouldn't be lying. He is a pagan deity, perhaps, but he won't be claiming to be Yeshua HaMashiach. So anyone claiming to be Jesus Christ is an obvious counterfeit to those who bothered to study this thing out. Remember, Messiah is returning with a New Jerusalem. Have you read or understood the scriptures? The New Jerusalem is as big as half the continental United States. Try to fathom that. 1,380 square miles by 1,380 square miles. Will it be a cube or will it be a pyramid? I'm persuaded that the dimensions don't differentiate or don't specify. Could be a cube or a pyramid. I'm persuaded it's a pyramid. Because Satan always counterfeits Yeshua. He's jealous, and he puts his little eye of Lucifer on top of a pyramid. And Christ is the capstone. He's the chief cornerstone. And imagine if he was on top of a pyramid, and this pyramid could hold hundreds of billions of dwelling places. And if he's at the top of it, if he's the capstone, his light will give light to everyone. That's what the scriptures say. You won't need lights. The radiance of the Lord will light up everything. And here you've got your eyes fixed on relics from the past. Instead of Yahuwah's glorious future and Messiah's glorious promises, you're focused on the past. Understand that the stage is being set for anti-Messiah to rule in a temple from Rothschild's Jerusalem by the same forces that crucified our true Messiah, Rome and Pharisaical Jews that were appointed by Rome. False Israel, false Jews, false Messiah. And let me tell you, evangelical, if you buy the false Israel and you buy the false Jews, you'll buy the false Messiah. With all due respect, Charlie Kirk, I'd like to debate you on these issues at your leisure. And I'm not a naive teenager that you can simply shout down with your pious rhetoric. I really encourage you folks to look at that video that Charlie Kirk posted online. It's disturbing. Ephesians 6 says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness in this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. It doesn't say, we bomb Palestinians. It doesn't say that anywhere, does it? Stop with the bloodthirsty warmongering and pretending that it's the righteous thing to do because you met God in Israel. Oh my goodness, Charlie. That's pathetic stuff, man. And you have to shout down a teenager to get your point across and come off thinking you're a pious victor. I can't wait to debate you, Charlie, but you won't debate me. You're a coward. You can only shout down teenagers and say that's what the Bible said. Try reading it, Charlie. Getting the world ticked off is by design. Many evangelicals think prophecy is being fulfilled because the whole world's turning on Israel. Just like they thought when the European Euro Jews occupied Palestine. Its homeland was a fulfillment of prophecy. That wasn't. That was more theater. That was the Vatican funding Hitler to have a Holocaust to pave the way for a bunch of Europeans to move into Israel, or what was Palestine then. Can't you see that Rothschild Zionism is demonic counterfeit? We have one. Our Israel has a king, and his name is Yeshua HaMashiach. Not Rothschild or Netanyahu. That should clue you, shouldn't it, there, Pastor? Believers are the true Israel. And the world has turned its back on us, true believers. It's not just for China anymore. Western nations, even in Western nations, believers are being gang-stalked and imprisoned and murdered. That's the true prophecy being fulfilled, that the world has turned on Israel. The world has turned against Israel. I'm not saying that every believer, true believer with the Holy Spirit is being gang-stalked, and I'm not saying everyone being gang-stalked is a true believer. I'm not saying that at all. But the true Israel is believers in Messiah. It's in here. You need to read it. It's in here. The true Israel is the people who believe in Messiah. And the people who are being bombed likely resemble Yeshua more than the people who are bombing them. They've been there for 2,000 years. Yeshua would likely resemble a Palestinian more so than these Euro Jews who have moved down there and moved in and claim to be Yahweh's chosen people. And you've got evangelicals gobbling it up. You've got evangelical preachers preaching it like it's gospel truth. If you don't have the wherewithal to know that that's a fake Israel and that's fake Jews, then you're not going to have the sense to know that you're looking at a false Messiah named Jesus Christ. No, Yeshua HaMashiach will never call himself Jesus Christ. He'll never call himself pagan deities. The Jews are fake, Israel's fake, and the Messiah they're bringing is going to be fake. And this here says that believers in Messiah are Israel. Replacement theology. Yeah, it is. You've replaced the true scriptures with your baloney about Netanyahu and Lord Rothschild being kings of Israel. That's a demonic, child trafficking, blood drinking corporation. And they're bombing innocent civilians, men or women and children, and it's a shame. And they've got all the evangelical Christians waving their little hexagram flag. We stand by Israel. We stand by Israel. We stand by. No, you're not standing by Israel. You're standing by child raping pedophiles who are bombing and murdering innocent people, who are probably more related by bloodline to Yeshua than these Euro Jews, who are escaping their crap hole countries by denying Messiah. Read this. The Jew is one inwardly. Read it. I'm so sick of these evangelical pastors beating the war drums and lying and murdering little kids and ginning up their congregations to murder women and children and to bomb them and level their houses because you don't bother to read the scriptures, because you take a message from your district manager of your little franchise faith system. It's disgusting. Read this thing instead of reading Schofield's footnotes. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the fake Jews living in Rothschild's counterfeit Israel. Pray for the Palestinians Love the Rothschilds, fake Jews. Love the Palestinians. They both need our prayers. But don't let some slick evangelist tell you, we stand with Israel. It's nauseating. You stand with that fake Rothschild Israel, then you stand with fake Jews and you stand with a false Messiah. And that fits perfectly into this scriptures that say Satan deceives the whole world. Because Yeshua is not king of that Israel. That is not Israel. That is a Rothschild corporation. You ought to do your due diligence before you go misleading the sheep there, pastors. Because you're leading sheep, the blind are leading the blind right now. And we've got a bunch of bloody corpses of innocent people in Palestine because we've got the blind leading the blind. False Israel, false Jews, false Messiah coming soon. Shalom.